Hey, you dorks, this is Gunnar Hansen, Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you are listening to The Dorkening.
Hi, I'm Brian Johnson, and although you probably accidentally stumbled across it and have no idea why you're watching it, you are in fact watching The Dorkening.
Hello, this is Tom Kenny, voice actor, the voice of the Ice King on Adventure Time, and SpongeBob SquarePants. Ah, meow. Oh, Gary the Snail, too. Hey, guess what you're filling your eye holes and ear holes with? The Dorkening! Oh, I love the Dorkening. Very popular in Ooh. And Bikini Bottom.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Hey, happy Tuesday, everybody. You're watching Splash Pages, powered by the Dorkening Podcast Network. We have an awesome show scheduled for you, as always. We're going to be talking about Sandman, talking about the book versus the Netflix show. Also, a bunch of new books this week, and, some other comic book news. I finally saw Thor. She-Hulk comes out this week. Tons and tons of stuff. So, without further ado, Velvet Joker, how's it going, bud?
It's going great. Velvet Joker here, the throwback king, bringing you the Sandman, which came out in the late 80s, and I didn't get into it until like the early 90s, so I hadn't read it in 30 years. So it was great to read and watch the series. Oh my God, Neil Gaiman is such an amazing writer, and he has crafted this amazing show after this amazing storyline, which we're going to talk about tonight.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Malo.
Oh, hey, it's you. We're doing the show. We're talking about Sandman. It's a dope book. You should definitely be reading it if you're watching the show. All right, roll the credits.
Jar Jar.
All right, Rich was really high, Drew was really low. I'm going to be right in the middle and just be like, hey guys, welcome to the show. It's another week here at Splash Pages. You're wrong, William Pace, but that's okay. We all have opinions and sometimes they suck. But thank you for watching.
Well, I mean, we got a bunch of stuff before we.
I'm only kidding, of course. Like, my opinion, I'm always wrong. So
no, nobody is wrong with your opinion. It's your opinion. For it's you don't need to be wrong. It's
well,
just,
thank you for validating me.
Can I say
You
something?
may be right. I may be crazy, but I'm just maybe
Just
the clown that you're looking for.
Turn out the lights.
Please,
Don't
somebody.
try to save me.
It changed me.
All right, this has
sorry.
gone off the rails. We haven't even started the show.
I was going to say something before
I
we
got
start.
new toys.
This is very different now that I've met a nice chunk of you in person, I feel like these squares are a little longer now that they've evolved to be rectangles for more
Aw.
spaces.
So,
So,
the squares have grown into your heart.
okay, you know what, Leo? I said it's just interesting. I didn't say that this is Tetris. Okay, get your head back in the game, out of your butt. Okay, I understand you just got out of vacation, but calm down. Second thing, I'm very excited for this show, but there are some things that we should address first beforehand. I need to admit something. I'm behind again. I have not watched so much. I haven't seen Thor. I know Leo has. I haven't seen Prey yet, which I know these two have.
Oh,
Heard it's
Oh,
awesome.
so good.
oh,
And then I want to say this. Somebody brought up that Prey should be the blueprint for how horror franchises are. Like, drop a fucking Predator in feudal Japan. Do like Final Destination on a pirate ship. Like have the Greeks open the Hellraiser puzzle box.
Oh, dude,
And
I
keep hearing,
think that would be
yes, yes, please.
Well, just to harp on Prey, not to harp on it, but Prey, I mean, they led you down so many paths where you thought, oh, they're just going to copy the movie, and they subverted your expectations. Like, perfect example, the friggin' mud scene. You thought, oh my God, they're going to do the Arnold mud again, but they didn't. You know, it's Prey is awesome.
Which makes sense because the Predator learns.
Yeah. Well, no,
So-
this is before.
But still, they learn.
Yeah.
Like, it would make sense that the future Predator would not be fooled by the same tricks as the past Predator.
Did you guys think, and this is not a spoiler in any way, Drew, did you guys think the way the Predator looked was a more primitive version? Because to me, he didn't look quite the same without his helm, if you will.
Well,
do you think that was purposeful? Like,
I did think it was purposeful.
Like the Predator didn't want to be overpowered.
Well, so I snuck into the Wednesday Dorkening show last week while on vacation. I just popped in real quick just to talk about Prey. Yeah. And I took it as, like, if you're thinking about, like, you know, maybe this is Predator's first, well, they might have scanned Earth and realized that Earth really isn't, you know, civilized. And if you think of a hunter, you know, you're going into the woods bringing just what you need. You're not going to overpack or anything like that. And that's what I took it as. You know, he's going onto Earth. He's starting with small animals to see what Earth has. And
well, the initial scene of him where he's still like camouflaged or translucent, it almost looks like he's like a hunter with the backpack on and stuff, and like he's going out into the wilderness and getting ready to
so I mean, like, his helmet, he just had, you know, the 3 dots thing. I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, there were a lot of things he didn't have, and I took it as it was less civilized prey that he was going after.
I also need to say this. I'm hoping that Prey's success will have more people looking into other things because I'm sorry, I don't want it as a live action, but I think Batman versus Predator would be a phenomenal
that'd be
animated.
kind of cool.
Am I right?
Joe?
Hey, Joe.
Yes, I would totally love even a Spawn Batman would be kind of dope. But
well, no, Spawn Bat. Listen,
I mean, I know you're going to have to deal with, but I think Marvel owns Predator and Alien right now.
They do, I'm sorry. I still say, like, that was one of, like, we reviewed that earlier, I think last year, and what a great read that was, Batman vs. Predator.
Oh yeah,
and,
absolutely. Check it out on our YouTube channel. It's there, I promise.
And I also think another good thing for us if we're feeling Predator, I recommend, I'm going to be honest with you, Judge Dredd versus Predator was a great read. And they do have some really good tie-ins to the Predator franchise in an unexpected way. I'm just saying, if we review that, 100% down, because I had to review that for an article. It was a solid read.
Yeah. I think if the one thing that Prey definitely proved was that is still a viable franchise.
very much.
Very much.
There's definitely stories to be told.
Yeah.
Well, but that's
But
with
I
everything.
also, yeah, but building on what Drew said, the Hellraiser, like they've shown like little clips of like past like what happens with the box, but it would be great. Yeah, I agree to delve into that, like, you know, the originator and like just go through the whole story.
And that's like the thing I always love about that people criticize the fourth Hellraiser, and don't get me wrong, some parts of it are very not good, but I love that it went into the history. You saw who the guy who created the box and why, and you know that whole like mythology, and then you saw the where that tied into the present, and then you know the quote unquote ending. But as we know, evil really doesn't die; it just kind of takes the loss and comes back later.
Right. And Drew,
you know,
didn't you just write an article about the Cenobites?
I did write one about where Violator from Spawn was calling out the Cenobites as being new wave and not demonic enough compared to traditional demons, and it was a really unexpected read, especially because it came from the work of Alan Moore. So. Yeah, a lot of people don't know this, but Alan Moore did a lot of work with the Spawn universe early in the 90s. He did a lot. He did a couple of guest spots here and there. He did a bunch of mini series for the Spawn universe. It was really interesting. It usually had to do with Violator and demons. So,
and you know, also somebody hunting him down in the bathroom for an autograph.
Exactly.
Alan Moore? Who went for that?
Well, that was
that's a reference to the Fabian Nicieza.
Oh yeah, okay.
When he was
I
talking
remember
about
now.
Yeah, no, I caught that.
Somebody is ballsy.
But I'm sorry, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody tried doing that to Alan Moore, because
dude, that would Alan Moore scares
I'm sorry.
me.
If I was a comic creator and someone did that to me, I don't care who I was, I would give somebody some shit.
I got to watch Liefeld give somebody some shit for interrupting him during lunch. That was hilarious.
Well,
Drew, I don't think
no, I don't think it's the same level at all. But it isn't. The person was the person was just interrupting to say, because it was my past co-host, and he was interrupting to tell the guy that we were gonna be interviewing him in about an hour, and that it was good to meet him and whatever. And Liefeld yelled at him in the middle of the food court. And he's just like, I'm trying to eat here. Can I not just eat? I was like, holy moly. Glad I didn't walk over for that one.
Did that interview still happen?
No.
I guess not.
We decided to axe that.
You know what the sad thing is? I guarantee if that interviewer had been a pretty girl, he wouldn't have said anything.
Oh yeah, not a word.
100%.
Hey, Drew, just bouncing back to the Fabian, because we had just mentioned that before. I did end up sending him the video of that, and he sent back a thumbs up. I don't know if I got to share that or not, but I thought you should.
No, you did.
Fantastic. Leo, your editing is amazing. Like on those TikToks, that you edited, fantastic.
Like, well done, man.
Well, thank you. Hopefully, I got some ideas to improve them a little bit. Now that I'm home and I have I'm not working off the laptop, it should be a bit easier to do.
I definitely think Terrificon gave us enough material for the rest of the year if we stretch it out. But I gotta say, and I'm just gonna say this because this is the first time we're all together in some way. What a success! Honestly, I felt like Nerd Hulk at the end of it. I was like, I'm going to call this a win. Like, nice. Right?
Yep.
And Drew, I never even got confirmation. Did you end up talking to Mike Reese?
No, I didn't, but we still have his card, and I would love to have him on the show because he was so nice. And I felt so bad. Both times he went to talk, we weren't there. And I was like, he
came to us too?
Yeah.
I'd hit him up a couple times, and he's like, I'll stop by the table. He ended up stopping by twice, and both times nobody was there. We were all recording the panels.
Right. And I felt so bad. And I tried finding him, when we were, Jeremy, and when we were doing our interviews. I tried seeing you at a table because I was like, that would have been perfect. It nowhere. And then
Dude, there was so many people I didn't see there. Like I didn't even see Kevin Conroy, and I know he was there. And I'm like, how did I miss him?
But also, Leo, your image of Jeremy, meaning Lionel, was just the glee. You know, I was like, well captured glee there. And I the image like of me meeting Fabian. Well, I've already met him, but you know that. I just imagine like the way the photo is. I just want to meme it, be like, "Well, this is my career now." You know,
as he's rubbing your belly.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I was like, "Well, this is the." Oh, Joe said you missed him as well.
No, I actually did see you, Joey. I saw you stop by the table and talk to Velvet for a second. You were in your King Tut.
Doing your thing.
Oh yeah, that was dope, man. That was a good costume.
Yeah.
Speaking of that photographer, you know, got a lot of great photos. Liz, she got a lot of great photos of the weekend. There were costumes. Yeah, I saw. I was like, oh shit, I completely missed that. Like,
which is
I didn't really.
We were at the opening of the con and we missed so much.
Yeah, it was
Jeremy and I were too busy pointing out Billy Butcher and calling him the C word.
Yeah.
That's the funny thing. There weren't a lot of boys cosplay. Like our friend Kevin was Homelander, and he did great. I mean,
who I did the C word to? The young Iron Sheik. I didn't even know it was him. He laughed. He is such a nice guy. I didn't even know it was him. I talked to him like 3 times throughout con. He's carrying around an Entertainment Earth box full of toys. The first time I saw him, I was just like, "What's in the box, man? What's in the box?" And like I was just busting people's balls, and he came over and he was like, "Oh, nothing." Blah, blah. And I'm talking to him just like cool. And then I called him Billy Butchie, a fucking cunt, the other day, and then he smiled, laughed, he walked around. And yeah, dude. And then I find out at the end of con, it's the young Iron Sheik. I'm like, oh my God, I'm an asshole.
Oh, so I don't know if I told you guys this, but I had made a habit when I was Deadpool that I kept running into any Scarlet Witches. I was just like, Wanda, I just want to let you know this is probably your fault. You know, and I kept running. There's just one Doctor Strange kept running into. And I was like, Steven, do you validate? Because I'd like to go home. So can you just do the sparkles and send me home, please? You know, I'm kind of mad that I came in and Endgame was over. Like, I'm like on the Howard Duck shit right here.
Oh no, sorry. Go ahead.
No, but that was it. It was fun being Deadpool again. But I will also say one more thing because I really do want to get to talk about other things, but. I feel that now that I've met Jeremy, who again, I can't believe how tall he is. Any joy I see from him going forward will be compared to how happy he was winning the Lego Millennium Falcon. Like that was joy. That was him at the top of the Rocky steps. Just you know, I got contact joy just standing near him with that. I was
Leo
like,
can tell you, Yo-Yo and there's other people that are usually with the dork and they win everything.
Yo-Yo wins everything.
And I win nothing. I watch everything. I'm like, oh, always the bride, never the bride, or vice versa, bridesmaid, never the bride. Yeah. And dude, how easy those questions were. I was just like, they just gave me a Lego fucking Millennium Falcon for that.
Wait. On another thing, we can say congratulations, right? To you, Jeremy, right? Right?
Sure.
Am I right?
Yes. Yeah, you're right. Yes. It is official now.
Yeah, he liked it, so he put a ring on it.
I put a ring on it.
Wait, what?
Oh, you guys didn't
tell me that?
Oh, I didn't tell anybody that. I put it on Facebook, or she put it on Facebook. Partner. One of them put it on Facebook. I might have put it on Facebook. No, she put it on Facebook.
No, Jeremy, you did because there was a debate you were asking.
Jabo, it's a trap.
oh, yeah, that's right. That you are right. Yep. The other was not happy.
Yeah, we're not talking. What am I talking about? I'm focusing on the happy. Which,
the happy was fantastic. No, it was great. Like,
that happened that weekend.
When we went up to Maine,
Aw.
I had
Good
to
for you.
clear it with my youngest to make sure like all in the world was kosher, and how excited they were when they heard. Like it made me know
Good.
that I was making the right decision. So
You
Well,
know,
congratulations.
yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
congratulations.
Congratulations.
Wow.
I
Uh,
feel good about it.
well, meeting her for the first time, and seeing how happy you two were together, and you could tell that, like, both of you have just like awesome hearts. It's just you're.
She is my rock at these things. Like she used to come with. She's been to like 2 or 3 other cons with me when I was with the geeks, and she like right away like took like I take care of the house at home and like the kids and her, and like she goes off to work, and I make sure laundry and cleaning and everything's done. It's the totally opposite when we're at con. Like she like
Take care of you.
yeah, like I broke down in the middle of con after seeing Jay Moore's, and like she saw it coming, and like she pulled me to the side and made sure I was okay, and like it was really it's really good having her there. She knows when like I need to chill out and like go eat something, and make sure just make sure
Well,
I take care of myself.
That makes us happy that you
yeah,
have someone special in your life.
yeah, Jeremy, it's called a handler. Okay,
Yeah.
every that's what every partner of a nerd becomes. My girlfriend has happened. Rich and his partner happened. Mrs. Pond would most likely be doing it behind the scenes. So welcome to the world of people who go to cons and the girlfriends that love them.
Well, having somebody that actually wants
and-
to be a
and-
part of my world is so different.
And
So
thank you to Mrs. Pond, who
Oh,
was a
yes.
partner, because she ingratiated her home to me when we went to
Yeah,
Terrificon.
how was that?
I got to sleep next to Riley, the
Ooh,
dog.
Whoa.
we've only
Whoa.
seen him on video. You've actually seen him in
man.
real life.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you make sure you left? Leo, did you leave the mints on the pillow? Did you leave
I did not know.
Hey, I got to have
Did-
nice
did you
tea
fill
in the
out the-
morning. Although Leo offered me a beautiful egg sandwich, but I
Yeah, that would probably
Did
be a
you-
better idea. Jabo,
Oh,
Miss Pond taking away the wallet.
honey, I know I said no spending, but these Transformer figures.
Jabo needs me to take them.
Oh, well,
okay,
actually,
so-
real quick, Jabo, if you come across a Cosmos, please hit me up, please.
Give
Please,
them a
please,
good
please.
price, but make them work for it.
Mm.
But I have one more question, Jeremy. So since your girl met all of us, what was her opinion of us? Or does she like us better than your old crew?
Oh, definitely. Like she also noticed very much so at the end of con. I don't know if Leo or Rich know, but like I used to take like a week vacation, not vacation, but I would shut down. I would be off of social media, everything after con. Like it was just so much for me, and I felt so just wasted after a con. I felt energized. It felt good. I was happy about it. I felt like really good about the whole weekend. It was amazing.
Yeah, well, you'd
I was
much
sad to
rather
see
be
it
with a
down.
bunch of positive guys than a bunch of negative crap.
Yeah, well,
Basically.
you're the company
also-
matters.
Also, Leo, thank you. Again, one more thing I want to say before we get to this. So, thank you for giving me a heart attack about the Joe St. Pierre interview. Okay, he just messaged in the group like, "Oh hey, Drew, did you drop the I forgot what it was, like the sound adapter?" And I was like, maybe. And I was like, deny. Like, they have you caught on film. How can you deny, Drew? And then Kevin is like, did it break? He told me it was fine. I was like, yes. I was like, I'm gonna own up to it. Yes, that happened. And it was like, oh no, it's fine. I included it in the interview, and I was like, motherfucker.
Well, for everybody watching, definitely check our YouTube channel. You guys did some awesome interviews, but I tried to start it with some comedic stuff, and I couldn't pass that up. Like to see your face when it just hits the floor and you hear clunk. It's just
Well,
and then Kevin doing
That was expensive.
yeah.
exactly. I was like, that was a great reaction. Well, that was expensive. And I'm like, thank you, Kevo. Like, much appreciated. You're I just felt bad because I felt like I was doing all the interviews, and that's why I was like, okay, I gotta. Kevin gets Kids of the Hall. Jeremy gets Lionel. I was like, okay, like I have to give.
I was so happy that you were that energized to do
Oh yeah.
interviews. Like, it's great when you don't have to sit there and go, all right, who's going to do this one? Oh, I just did this one. You guys do that. Oh, I don't want to do it. And like people to have people like, I think we all complimented each other so well. Like
we're good.
Fantastic. Fantastic job by everybody.
Listen, Jeremy, if we had the time that day, I would have literally spent all of Sunday hopping from interview to interview to interview to interview, like 100%.
Yeah,
celebs.
We should have done it Saturday because we were tearing. Like maybe we set up like an interview team to go around on and while other people are doing panels, an interview team.
So next year, all depends on my bonus from work, but I'm going to try to the funding. I'm going to try to get us a second camera, so that maybe we can do as two teams just to run about.
Okay, Leo, if you do that, I want you dressed like John Hammond to say we spare no expense. That's what I want. Just your cameras like spare no expense, spare no expense. I want the cane.
I can see that so much. Welcome to the Dorkening.
Thank you. Exactly. Just welcome to the Dorkening. Dun, 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 dun. Welcome to the Dorkening. Watch our show. It's really nerdy. We have 40 other channels. I'm good.
Oh, love it. Well, so I don't know if we would like to go, probably, but we were also invited to Northeast Comic Con while we were there.
Oh, absolutely. By the way, we have to talk, Leo, because Gary also has some kind of cannabis con that he wants to put together, and he was very adamant about having someone like us do the panels and stuff.
Yeah, let's totally talk that.
So we're the panel guy now. That's us. We're the panel guys. Okay.
I
can handle that.
Listen, if I could have I recorded that JLA panel, all the voice actors. If I could have been the guy asking the freaking questions, I look forward to one day being able to do that.
Oh hell yeah, dude! I think I wish you had stayed for Sunday. Rich.
Yeah. Next year, absolutely.
The energy was fantastic.
Friday is pounding the pavement, meeting the people, and then Saturday and Sunday break up into teams, and then we just rip it.
Divide and conquer.
Well, I think Friday and Sunday are still best for interviews.
Yeah, I agree. Like Saturdays are very hectic, especially. Yeah,
it's a busy stuff.
I had to break my teeth on Terrificon with the interview stuff. I mean,
did anybody anybody follow the cosplay contest?
We recorded it.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I just was wondering.
Mitch must have been proud.
Yep.
Just wanted to make sure we had presents.
And I know there was interest in Granite State. I don't know if it's too soon to get into that. Do you know anybody from Granite State?
I don't know. I've been up there before, but I used to have the other guy do all the talking.
Okay.
So
I'll reach out to them, see if there's a we can get in.
But I would gladly do another con. I mean, I'm fine with doing any. I just spread out. I can't do next weekend we're doing this. I was like, no, that is exactly how someone gets sick.
Yeah.
Granite's Vermont, right? And where's
New Hampshire, right?
Yes, New Hampshire. Yep.
Yeah.
Where's the other one? Northeast?
Northeast is at the mall now, right? That big
Let's
mall.
see.
Last I knew, he held it at that mall.
Yeah. It's like,
Framingham?
No.
No.
okay, let's see.
J-Bo saying Manchester, New Hampshire for Granite.
Yep.
Okay.
And the
And he'll
venue
be up there
for
Autism Speaks.
Northeast is at Boxborough Regency Hotel and
Foxborough,
Conference.
that's it.
Yep,
Okay.
Foxborough.
Oh, they're back at the hotel?
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Alright,
Where?
It's about an hour north of me and an hour south of Jeremy.
And that's far from me.
West.
It's about 2 hours for Leo.
East. Go east, young man.
Way
Is
too
that
many
far
hours
from me?
for-
Is that like 3 hours for me then?
Yeah.
Where are you? Drew?
How far was Mohegan for you?
It's about 2 something.
Yeah, it's probably like 3 hours then.
Oof.
Three and a half.
Northeast is where Mona from Who's the Boss thought she knew me. That was an
That's
interesting interaction. I was like, whoa, Mona. And she's just like, oh, how are you doing? It's been so long. I'm just like, I think you have me mistaken for somebody else because I would know if I knew you.
No, that Jeremy. That's when you say, oh, "I like to show you who's the boss." Hey,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm good.
I probably
I'm
would
good.
have.
I'm good. That's the only.
Like, well,
show-
it's been great. It's so long since I've seen you. I mean, I'm single now.
Yeah.
You could have a childhood fantasy fulfilled.
That would have been interesting. Oh my God.
Dear God.
I-
No, that's.
I
you know-
probably would have got in
Not
trouble
even-
because I think she was going through delusions.
And Joe, we love Super Mega Fest. I know they're under new ownership now, so
Oh, are they?
yeah, so we'll need to make contact with the new owners.
Mm.
But yeah, Super Mega Fest has always been a great show as well.
For partying.
Party.
That's about it.
I don't do that anymore. I just
When is
smoke
when
my
is
stuff.
when is Northeast Comic Con?
November.
Yeah, they do usually a fall and a spring show.
Right. So, Leo, what do we got in
okay.
news? Nerd news.
Oh, nerd news.
Yeah, let me. So I know it's been a couple weeks. I was on vacation since we did a show, but I know a bunch of DC news dropped. The cancellation of Batgirl. I know we haven't talked about yet.
James Gunn announced that all his projects are safe. Yes.
Awesome.
Oh, wait, Leo. Small thing. Thank
Yes.
you to my vacation. I finally saw all of Peacemaker.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah. What'd you like? Or
Did you
what?
love
what'd
it? You must have loved it.
Okay. Fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Like, hands down. I was like, thank you, JetBlue, for providing HBO Max. And I saw Peacemaker. I was like, well, this is going to make this 3.5 hour trip to Puerto Rico just fly right by. And you know what? It did. They were great. Every episode was great. All the side characters, wonderfully quotable. John Cena just owned the role. All the side characters were great. I like that it's still left open, and I'm excited that there's going to be a season 2. I'm like, oh yes, more of this, please.
Unless they cancel that.
No, they did not.
No.
They
James Gunn
confirmed
announced
that-
all his projects were safe.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
So,
That's a James Gunn project.
I just wanted to say that. Continue, please.
Yeah. So what do we think about Batgirl being canceled?
Don't care.
I'm not upset about it. But
I think it's a
number one. I didn't even know it was happening until they said that it was canceled. But it does suck that they dropped $90 million and a bunch of actors went and spent a shit ton of time, and I'm sure they got paid for it, but never to really benefit for it if they did any back end deals.
I think it's really disappointing that they didn't. I think this decision should have come sooner before all that money and, like Rich said, an effort was spent. I think it's really not fair to all those people who put in the time and the effort, including the directors and everybody. And then, like I said, it's. I hate to bring it up, but it's the same situation with Black Adam. Black Adam has the same approval that Batgirl did, but that's still going to theater because they're hoping The Rock will save it.
Well,
And,
yeah, they got the big name.
Well, that was before the reshoot, supposedly, but it is sad that they didn't try to reshoot the Batgirl if they were unhappy with it.
Yeah, and I heard that they're like, oh, they want to like have her in different, like give cameos and stuff. I was like, listen, you can't just give someone a movie, take it away from them, and then say, oh, okay, we'll give you a cameo though. That's like giving somebody a participation ribbon. I was like, listen, just take the loss, man. Don't try to make them
And
feel
we're
special.
still getting a
regardless.
Flash movie. We're
Yeah.
still getting the Flash movie after all of that controversy.
Yeah,
And
did I see something about another? He did like some kind of apology and saying that
yeah,
he's
it
having some
was
mental issues.
very generic.
Yeah, I was
Yeah, it was
I don't know
wondering
if
if
it's
that was
from him.
induced by the studio being like, dude, we're about to drop you. You better drop some kind of statement to the public and go do a rehab or psychiatric for a few weeks. At least that was my.
Yeah,
I heard.
I hope that he's going to get the help he needs. But
Well, it was definitely a PR person wrote that.
Yeah.
My opinion is that, definitely seems like a PR person wrote that, just to start softening the blows.
yeah, I don't know where they're going to go with that. I hope
Yeah.
that he just gets help. Like, because dude's in a tailspin.
Yeah. Well, there's talk of they did some more Flash reshoots over the summer. They added a scene to Shazam. Is it Shazam or Black Adam? I think it's
Black Adam.
Black Adam. That's going to tie more into the DC universe.
Mhm.
Being a DC fan, a lot of it's on hope. And thinking about what they've done so far,
It's like the symbol of Krypton.
That was important in Sandman. Hope.
Hope.
Oh yeah.
It's important in all of DC at this point.
Well, you think about it, they could have just DC's been like a lot of hit and miss, for the longest time. And if
I
you
agree.
have, Zaslav's coming in, let's say he wants to repair, hopefully he wants to repair the DC extended universe.
I didn't know that. Oh,
What's
I'm
that?
sorry. I'm reading the comments while you're talking.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
There was some scenes of Brendan Fraser as Firefly. There's a scene of him like fighting on a fire truck with like flames
no
and
kidding.
everything. Yeah.
Let's not forget that Batman Keaton is actually in that movie that got axed, and so is Brendan Fraser as Firefly.
Mhm.
So there was a lot of talent in there.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's interesting that they like to get Keaton back as Batman. Like,
Well,
Yeah, and we're never going to see it.
Well, we're gonna see him in the Flash, though.
yeah, but they're also bringing back Ben Affleck too.
Yeah.
So, but they're not. Cavill's not coming back. So
Yeah,
it's done.
I think Affleck's coming back for Aquaman, maybe.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, he's part of the.
So the rumor is that we're gonna
he's part of the reshoot.
We're gonna see Cavill.
We are gonna see. I saw a thing the other day that said Cavill said he doesn't want to be in the role anymore.
Really?
I could be wrong.
I also saw
It's the internet, so.
It is the internet. And what's the Marvel Justice League?
Oh, the Avengers.
The Avengers?
No. It's like an actual Justice League ripoff.
They have a Justice
Squadron Supreme?
Yeah, Squadron Supreme.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There was an article I saw where they were saying Cavill in talks to play that Superman in Squadron Supreme.
Hyperion,
yeah.
I would be fine.
Yeah, J-Boy, that is most likely Drew. He has slow internet.
Is that slow enough for you?
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Flash, TV Flash. Yeah, a lot of people want Gustin to jump into the role, but I think they've spent too much money. It would be too much in reshoots.
I would love to see good old Wesley Shipp if I can pull off a little cameo.
Yeah.
That would be dope.
But,
I mean, the man's all over CW, so the fans would love it. Damn
I'm
you,
just
Deadpool.
glad. You're welcome. But like I said, DC right now, I'm sorry, it's not really high on my priority list. I feel like a lot more they're just making more mistakes than they are winning. And I understand that they're under a time of transition. So I'm just hoping better things come of it because Leo, you said hit or miss. Me personally, I feel a lot of it's been missed with a very few amount of hits.
Well,
You know,
as of recently, I think they've been more hit
Shazam
than
was
miss.
fantastic.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
last
I
Suicide
agree.
Squad movie was fantastic.
All the HBO
Wonder
Max
Woman
stuff has been
sucked.
Doom Patrol was great.
Doom Patrol, yeah, all
I
those
need
the
to watch
shows have been
Doom
really
Patrol.
good.
Harley Quinn.
That cartoon, the third season, holy crap!
Yeah, it's great.
A lot of sex in that one. A lot of sex.
Well, yeah, and Batman singing, like what the fuck?
I love James Gordon in that show. I'm sorry, James Gordon and Harley Quinn is superb.
Well, that's because Christopher Maloney is Gordon, and he just plays crazy exceptionally well.
Oh, just fantastic. And Clayface, like, who cannot love that?
I'm really clamoring for a Morbius 2.
More Morbin time?
I think you just broke the internet.
Speaking of Harley,
somebody today was trying
Yes.
to. I was reading through some things on the interwebs, and somebody today was trying to say that Sony was doing better at building a universe than DC. I was like, hold on. Just because they're like pushing these movies and not stopping doesn't mean they're doing better. Like they just are throwing the shit against the wall and like let it rip.
I knew about this. I follow Frank Cho, and he did one of the alternate covers for this.
So
yep.
I have to admit I ordered 3 covers.
Oh my
Really?
god!
Of course you did.
Jesus Christ.
So
Harley Quinn's 30th anniversary special.
You
number 1.
milestone chaser.
Are you doing the Riddler's year 1?
No.
Oh, that looks so good. It's supposed to have he is the actual planner of the Killing Joke. The Killing Joke, and he gives the plan to the Joker because he got bored with it.
So this is not One Bad Day.
Oh yeah, One Bad Day. That's what it is. Sorry.
Oh, it is. Okay, so that just came out, or that came out today.
Yeah. Well, tomorrow. Okay. Tomorrow, today.
Well, DC's on Tuesdays now, from what I understand.
Weird.
I know.
That must really mess up LCS's. Here's the book. No, you can't have it till tomorrow.
That does look. So Tom King. That does.
Tom King's a great writer, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm picking up just because his name's on it. I'm also reading another book by him from Image called Everlasting Love. I know, weird, but Tom King, the guy can write. I don't know, his Mr. Miracle run, the Vision run was great.
Well,
like
Batman Volume 3 started off really strong.
I loved his whole run. I don't care what anybody says. Even the Cat and we all knew the Cat and Bat weren't going to marry, but whatever.
Yeah, I did enjoy that part of it. When they took the vacation, it was just that whole Bane City got a little complicated.
All right, you're right. The Bane City was a little lame.
Yeah, but before that, Gotham Girl and
he's the reason Kite Man's in Harley Quinn. I bet you. Because he made you care about Kite Man and Batman. I was just like...
Kite Man's origin story in that? Holy shit.
I was just like, holy crap. I thought this... no words.
If only he could write Condiment King.
Right?
Real quick, so Harley Quinn comes out September 20th. And so these are the covers I picked up. This is...
classic Harley.
Yeah. Stanley Art Germ.
Hubba.
Wow. That's an Art Germ cover? No, that's cool. No wonder you got it early. It's going to sell very quickly.
Yep.
I also pre-ordered the Bruce Timm.
Oh, nice.
That is really nice. Yeah. I got to tell my guy to get me that one. That one is that a special order one, or is that still retail?
all of these were I just called my local comic shop and said, "Hey, could you order these for me?" And yeah, he messaged me that he was able to
What's
get
the last one, Bill?
Last one is obviously Bermejo.
Nice.
So I
You
couldn't
call him
pass that.
Bermejo? I call him Bermejo.
Yeah.
I get names wrong. You know that.
I just figure it's got to be like Spanish, so the J's not there.
Bermeo.
Bermejo.
So
Bermejo. Swamp Thing was awesome. Yeah.
So is there any other comic news? I have to be honest, I haven't really followed up much.
No, it was just a lot of the items were from DC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I see.
Okay.
So
well, Sandman was technically part of Vertigo, which was an extension of DC, so not too crazy to say that.
Indeed.
yeah,
And who did anyone not like Who doesn't like Sandman? This is an amazing story.
I have to be honest with you. It's one of the few things I don't really think I've seen much criticism against it.
No, I was kind of shocked that Neil Gaiman came out about the gatekeeping of the show. I being on the comic boards that I am, usually there's always something.
Yeah,
And
Jeremy,
I hadn't
I'm not
seen
surprised.
much.
Honestly, I'm not surprised because honestly, considering how beloved the series is, it's not really surprising that there would be people who gatekeep it. I mean, when Sandman came out, people who didn't even read comics were buying the book. Like
Like
really changed the game. And
the Black Orchid by Gaiman was.
Oh yeah, that's amazing. We should definitely look at that at one point. I also want to say this, and I know people credit Alan Moore for the person who creating the term graphic novel, which he despises, by the way. But of course, what else is new? I kind of feel Neil Gaiman is really more to attribute to that because if you read his work, there's definitely a sort of the way he writes, the stories, they feel more like literature than it does like your run-of-the-mill comics.
Yeah, he's a magical storyteller, Drew.
He definitely is, and I've read enough of his work, and I admittedly own quite a bit of it. I've read quite a lot. Not everything I've read from him has resonated with me as much as Sandman did, but it's still pretty great. Fun fact, Sandman was actually one of the books I read with Angie, my girlfriend, first when we were first dating, because she had never read it and I owned it, but I never read it. And I was like, oh yeah, sure. Like I'll loan the books to you. So, and she reads so much faster than I do. So I had to blow through like Sandman in 2 weeks. And if you guys have ever seen the later volumes are thick.
Oh yeah.
Like, gee, I don't know how I did it. And I read the whole thing. And honestly, like, it's honestly truly one of the best comics of the genre. And I also think we're never going to see something like Sandman again. It really was lightning in a bottle for 70 something issues. You know, Neil just nailed it.
Yeah. And it was taking an old character and actually making a whole new character with the old character, which was amazing.
Right.
Like,
and that's what it should be. Like, that's, in my mind, that's how a remake should be done. You take something that's already there and you make it in a way where it pays respect to what was before, but it's still allowed to be its own thing.
And interestingly enough, that original character, for those of us that have finished the series, and I won't ruin anything, but he does pay homage to that character.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, very well too. I was like, when I saw it on the show, I was just oh.
So since we're going to start talking about that, I think the best thing to do is we talk about the comic first, and then we can talk about how it compares to the series, because there are definitely things that are very different, which I've been telling people who've been getting into it because of the show.
Well, to be
Yeah.
honest with you, as you know, I was on vacation last week, and everybody's been talking about the Sandman. I've never read it, So
It was first read for Leo. So
first
Same here.
read for me. But the thing was, I binged Netflix show first.
okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And absolutely
Do you have the
friggin'
same feeling as me? Like the show, like detailed so much more for me.
oh yeah, yeah. Like watching the show first, I'm like, as I'm reading the book, I'm like, okay, this is where they're taking stuff from, and oh wow, they took this word for word, just like
Yes.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
just
and the different nuances were like just nuances that like it didn't destroy anything.
no, and where it improved upon the book, like John D.
Yeah,
was not
dude, that episode in the
so
show.
good. Holy shit.
Drew, once you get to episode, I know you've read the book, but the episode, holy fuck!
Well,
Was
that episode and the episode where he meets the guy every 100 years.
I
Hobgoblin.
like that a lot. That was really cool.
Oh yeah,
Well,
I've
all
always
encompassing,
said that's my
interesting enough, Drew. I'm sorry, just going to say this one thing, and
That's
I'll
fine.
let you take it.
That's fine.
The feeling of both the comic and the show is growth, and the changes that have been made from the comic back in 1989 to 2022 is also Neil's growth,
Yeah,
and he expresses it so beautifully.
I really think he does. Like,
Yeah,
The only criticism I have, and it's a very small thing, was I feel like Netflix has this way about just changing the gender of a character, and to me, sometimes I don't understand why.
actually,
like
so I apparently Neil Gaiman made a comment about the change of sexes in some of the characters, and he explained it. If you were to write the Sandman for the first time today, that is how he would have wrote it.
Okay. Well, it's just for
Yeah.
me, like having Death portrays an African American character, that didn't bother me because Death really has no race, no
Yeah,
identity.
no
It's
face.
exactly. They have existed as different people, ethnicities, different shapes for
they show that
thousands of years.
I
as
even
well,
feel like
absolutely.
the endless probably would appear to each person differently too.
Exactly.
Also having her portrayed as a female and just how that character acted.
You're talking about the Constantine character.
No, not Constantine. Death.
Death. Well, she was female in the comic.
Yeah,
Oh, she was. Oh,
Yeah,
she
yeah,
was.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
but she was just white.
Yes.
Or more like pale.
But that actually that scene from comic to show, almost perfect, like word for word.
And like again, there were some moments, especially like I said, I'm going off what I've watched so far. There are moments that, again, because I read the book and it's still fresh on my mind, I was like, wow, this is visually page from page just how it looks. And again, I didn't mind that they changed certain things, like Leo, Rich, and Jeremy. We've talked about that they really kind of removed a lot of the DC continuity stuff, which. Again, we get it because we know who these characters are, but there's really no need to introduce people to these things. But it was
Etrigan, like, could you imagine the populace meeting?
First things first, I'm sorry. The fact that Etrigan showed up, and on top of it, he's still, anytime Etrigan shows up and he's rhyming, for me is a win. But
it's one of the most ridiculous demons in the world, and I'm just like, I love it.
Oh yeah, it's a totally Kirbyism. But one other criticism I have is I really wish they had done more with Death, where we don't really see his eyeballs. Like I kind of would have liked more of like the blackened eyes.
Oh, you mean like, the Corinthian?
No, I'm talking about Dream. I'm sorry, Dream.
Oh, Dream.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like how I feel like when you see Batman's eyes. I don't want to say it loses some of that scare, but I just feel like, again, like that's how he's portrayed. He's just the black eyes, but he's got the glowing like starlights and whatnot. And and I understand that's sometimes hard to do with a human person, but you can't tell me, it's not possible.
But
Yeah.
goddamn, that guy had the cheekbones of Sandman for sure. God.
Oh,
yeah,
I
no.
think they did well casting him, but he feels it's almost like he's the sparkly Sandman. Like like they did well casting like visually, but like he's very pretty. Like flawless. Like look at Sandman right there. He has kind of a dark. Don't get me wrong. I still loved it. I think he's did a great portrayal. But
Yeah.
even Emily, my girlfriend, was just like, I feel like he's like the Twilight version of Sandman. I'm like,
Again,
get that.
I'm still catching up, but I mean, like I said, I thoroughly am enjoying what I've been seeing. And again, rereading the book, I was amazed how much having read it already. I was amazed how much I remembered, and it's still great. Like I loved Cain and Abel. I forgot how much I enjoyed Cain and Abel as characters.
Yeah, and they pull your heartstrings with the dragon.
For real.
Yeah.
The gargoyle.
Yeah.
I love the name. Gargoyle has to start with the G name.
Yeah, why'd they have to spoiler? But
Call him Goldie.
Gregory. Why'd they have to do him like that?
Yeah, that was a little sad, but because you know why, Leo, is because it wouldn't have made
another egg.
Because it wouldn't have made sense with the contracts, So again,
they had to cement the Sandman's character that yes, he had a heart, but he had to do what he had to do, but because he always felt obligations were more important. And that part of the growth of his humanity had how he changed over the series.
And it's really funny because when, I remember reading an interview that Neil said that he has mixed feelings about the first 4 issues because he was really getting his footing. He's really trying to find his voice with the story. So he says that in each, he's still proud of them, but he said in each ones he could kind of see flashes. And he said it was the story where Death and Dream meet, and he kind of moonlights with her doing her responsibilities. That's when he said he felt everything really clicked. After Dream had been freed, he'd got his ruby back, he got the pouch, he got the sand. After the whole stuff with John Dee, it was also really nice seeing. It's really nice seeing Constantine working with him.
I have to say they also casted the devil quite well.
Oh yeah,
I heard good things.
Yeah,
but
she
Lucifer Morningstar.
So speaking of the cast, there was only a handful of characters that were really well known. In doing my research for this, I was going through the entire cast, and all of them, it's mostly British shows, and it's their a lot of them this is their first big role. The main let me pull up my notes here. So Tom Sturridge was
Dream.
Obviously Dream. This is his first major role. Boyd the Corinthian, he's known for Narcos, Hatfield and McCoy's.
He was a creepy mofo.
Yeah, but he's also slated for Indiana Jones 5.
I thought he looked. I thought for the Corinthian, I thought he looked great. He had that, attitude and swagger, whatnot, and it's kind of interesting because it made sense that he's the overarching villain.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to think about it, what Dream, or in this case, what Nightmare, would be strong enough to want to challenge his maker? And Corinthian really, what are they going to be? Brute and Glob? Come on.
Right.
So, going on
with the casting, Leo. I'm sorry.
Yep.
The guy that played Funland. Oh my God! Looks exactly like the guy in the comic.
Funland was. Oh man,
they could not have
portrayal.
cast that closer.
Yeah,
it was really amazing.
I will say I really hope that speaking of the second volume now, everyone, and for those who aren't aware, if you do essentially read the first 2 volumes of Sandman, that's basically what the first season of Sandman covers. So read those, you might understand what we're talking about.
First 2 volumes or the first 16 issues,
they
whichever.
crammed
Yeah.
a lot into those 10 episodes, and
They did.
they weren't even full hour episodes, most of them, right?
And
I think they were like 45, 48 minutes.
I thought the story with Nada was great, and just for any reference, Jeremy, that her imprisonment is a future storyline.
Oh, cool.
He does go back for her. So
Nice.
just letting
I was wondering about, because I love the origin stuff, and all of a sudden he's like going past, and he's just like, "Oh, by the way, blah blah blah." No, I don't.
Right. And what they're talking about, guys, is the fact that when Dream is led through hell in the Netflix show,
what's the name of the demon?
He just has a conversation with this woman about not forgiving her for whatever she did, but they don't get into that. But the comic delves way deeper into that story.
And it's a sad story.
Yeah.
But I will also say
that
that the Hobgoblin story has been one of my favorites, and I will also recommend that if you guys really enjoyed that, read the 3rd volume of Sandman. There's more about Dream's deal with Shakespeare that really is fantastic. I mean, the 3rd volume is the only it's the only comic series that ever won the Hugo.
Oh, nice.
And it was so surprising to them that they made it so that it would be the only one. But there is, how do I put this? Dream arranges for William Shakespeare and his men to perform Midsummer's Night Dream in front of a crowd that you wouldn't believe. That's all I'm going to say. And it's a great story. So the 3rd volume, I definitely recommend you guys reading because it is really great. But I love Hob. Hob was great. I love the idea that every 100 years they would meet. And you see
that is
the
such a fantastic. That is so fantastic.
It's a profound storyline where Death
and
Dream just walk into this bar.
How would you guys feel? Like, I myself would definitely take immortality. Like, even if I was poor, desolate, like whatever. Like,
I think
the fear of what's after for me is so scary.
Well,
sorry, that was me.
No worries. So Jeremy, I totally get you with the fear of not knowing what comes after, but it was more of the hope of what else is there to see.
Oh yeah, no, I get that too.
Well, no, I mean,
future.
going with the show. I mean, talking about Hob, and a lot of it was taken word for word from the book.
But Jeremy, to answer your question, I would not.
No,
I do not desire that. I'm good, man. I'm 50. Give me another 30
years.
Give me another 30 years.
I would be good with I would be good with partial immortality. Like, give me like 200-300, and then I'm like, I'm good. I can't do Hob.
I've always had the vampire thought.
So you guys all want to? Well, you don't, Jeremy, but you guys would all want to work for another 100 years or so.
Work? Ha! I wouldn't do that.
I said, well, that's why I prefaced with you don't work.
But
well, I take care of 5 kids, a house. I work.
Well, I know it's different kind of work. I mean, you know what I mean.
But I think the other thing
I do. I like to be that asshole.
I really enjoyed the thing about that story is that it set up a lot of things. You had him making his deal with William Shakespeare. You had Joanna Constantine, John's predecessor, his ancestor, and the fact that we would see her, and we do see her in other Sandman storylines, and those are also great.
That is not different from the comic or the series. It's both female and both. That is not a gender.
Exactly. And I really liked the scene where Hob basically says, "This is why you keep meeting me. You're lonely too. You want a friend."
Oh,
and
It's not changed a ton, but that scene definitely hit more on the show, I'd have to say.
Yeah. And then I love in the book when he's like, I'm not sure you would show it, and he shows up and he's got his, you know, his Cure style haircut, his jacket, everything. He's smiling. He's like, yes, I was told it's improper to keep a friend waiting. And I was like, oh man, this is a good ending. You know,
Yeah,
it's one of those where if
that
the
made
story
the heart feel good.
yeah. And then I'm sorry, Doll's House was just fantastic. I mean, you have all these multiple parts moving, and I know they couldn't include it in the show, or from what I surmise, I thought the storyline with the replacement Sandman facing Morpheus was just both awesome and really sad because he had to do what he had to do. But I was like, damn.
Yeah, that's definitely handled differently in the show.
Yeah.
They merged two characters into one, and
Yeah, I know.
changed who the Sandman is.
Yeah, but I love the idea who when he faces him, he says who he is, and Morpheus just takes off his helm and just is laughing. He's just like, humanity, you son of a bitch, you never fail to make me laugh. You know,
One part of the book that hit me a little bit harder than in the series, though, was when him and Death were walking around talking about everything, and Death takes the baby. In the book, the baby talks to Death, and like that hit a lot harder for me. Like that brought a tear to my eye. I was like, "Oh crap!" Like they're more. Like I knew they were conscious of what was happening in the show, but it made it feel more real in the book.
But before you make your comment there, Drew, I just wanted to say, Jeremy, I took it that the baby was talking. We just couldn't hear the way Death was responding.
Oh, I agree, but that's why I knew that the baby was conscious of what was happening. But like in the book, with the baby actually responding, and you can read that the baby's responding, it was like, oh shit.
Yeah, you got that fatherhood twinge there, my friend.
Yeah, well, it happened in the show. I'm like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh fuck. But then in the book, it like actually got me to be like, oh crap, the baby's like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
But the way also that Death lays it out that they're there to serve humanity.
Yeah.
It's not the other way around.
Yeah, and in dreams, just like I don't understand that, like, you know, this is the same as them being born, and like, you know, death is just a part of the process, and blah blah blah.
But he learned by the end.
Yeah.
Well, and in the book, she has a thing where every, I think, 1,000 years she spends a day as a mortal as her way of understanding them. So Gaiman wrote, I think, 2 miniseries detailing that. And there are also pretty solid reads if you guys are interested enough. I think one of them is called High Cost of Living. They're both pretty great. You know, it was him and Chris Bacalo did the artwork for that. It was pretty solid. But yeah, the death story.
Has anybody seen any of these characters cosplayed recently? Like really recently, even in pictures? Because I'm going to see that coming. They're coming if they're not.
Oh yeah,
they will be. Oh, listen, we're going to see a ton of. I feel like we're going to see a lot. Like Death, I've seen. I know some. I know 1 or 2 people who've done Death. And fun fact, I'm sure you've seen the series. You guys saw Merv. I've cosplayed as him. That's the pumpkin head. Merv.
The what I take
Mark
him as a gardener.
Yeah, he's the gardener, the custodian of the dreaming.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was voiced by Mark Hamill.
Yeah,
Mark Hamill. Yeah.
Very well.
So I've cosplayed as him, and I'm so psyched that I can bring that back because I love that.
Did anybody get that it was from Sandman, or did they all go like, "Hey, the Wizard of Oz guy"?
You know, no one really noticed. Again, you know how it is. It's when you do those obscure ones. One person did notice, and they did really appreciate it.
That's cool.
You know, but it, you know, honestly, it was just fun to do, and I'm so glad to bring it back now that, more people would understand who he is. I just kind of think I'm just going to bring a broom and just keep sweeping up the place while I'm smoking my cigar.
Well, I
but
could see definitely a lot of people for ease is definitely him, but also John D. I
Yeah.
mean, walking
That
around.
guy put on a great performance.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's his best
Yeah,
since
yeah,
Harry Potter.
In the comics, he's almost rotting.
Yeah,
he is.
I think
Yeah.
that change is because the fantasy would be too much. I think for the everyday viewer.
Yeah, they wouldn't know how to explain it properly.
Yeah, like for us comic nerds, it was like, oh yeah, this makes. I don't even need it explained. He's a burnt up dude.
Right.
I think
Or
that's
like,
the thing. Sorry, Richard, you go.
no, go ahead, Drew. I'm sorry. I've been interrupting
That's
you all
fine.
night.
I know it's all good. I think we're just stepping over each other because we're getting used to the sync of things again. This is what happens when you're on vacation. Like to talk to people about things. How dare I?
It's something we all enjoy, apparently.
Yes, we do. We're climbing over each other. But I think the thing that I really enjoyed was that in the comics, I liked the tie-ins to DC because you get the idea that while they are that's part of their world, it's very much its own thing. And I think that's something that's sometimes very much missing in comics. Comics are so focused now on being interconnected that they lack sometimes the potential to be their own story.
Yeah.
Right.
And some characters
the
can't.
first one, Drew, was the I'm assuming about the Ruby and with Martian Manhunter in the comic,
and Scott Free.
And then Mr. Miracle, Scott Free.
Well, and apparently that's the same Dreamstone from Wonder Woman 1984.
Yes.
Oh, the monkey's paw.
Mm-hmm. So again, I personally enjoyed it. That Hector Hall showing up, who, if I'm correct, that's linked to Hector Hall because I know I've heard that name before. I feel like that's connected to Carter Hall, who, as we all know, is Hawkman. Yeah. And
so yeah, I was in my research today. Hector Hall is Hawkman's son.
Oh,
thank you.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah, and
connected, Leo.
And Lita also had a connection as well.
Right, because I remember later on, Hector becomes the new Dr. Fate at one point. It was later in the early 2000s Justice Society that Jeff Johns was doing. Thank you. My brain was like, there's a connection there, but it was just
I only knew because I just read about it, just a little bit ago. And
good digging, Leo. Good digging.
I can't remember Lita's connection though. She also had 2 superhero parents.
Well, Hippolyta, that. Listen, I wouldn't be surprised if that was some sort of.
I think she has a Wonder Woman connection. I think there is a Wonder Woman connection.
Hippolyta? Yeah, totally. But I will say one more thing. My God, the stuff that Neil put Jed through. I mean, that little kid, man. Dear God.
So Lita Hall is the daughter of Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor.
There you go. There you go. But I will say one more thing. The serial killer convention in the comic. When I first read it in the comic, I was like, wow. Because you don't think of something like that, but you're like, what would that like? Because we just went to a con, so you're imagining it like a serial killer convention, like
where when you watch the episode, you will not be disappointed.
Yeah, not at all.
I'm very excited.
I'd have to say the episode handled it a hell of a lot better. I loved the issue. There was several issues that were friggin' amazing, and the show handled them even better. But the serial convention, the ending to that, when you think about what Dream did to them, it's very similar in the book, but their reactions are a lot more gruesome and
The ramifications that
the
happen.
ramifications were definitely a lot more.
As the great Stan Lee said, enough said. Got it.
Yep.
Right. And listen, like even the diner scenes from earlier in the series are very different in the comic versus the show.
Yeah.
No less interesting and
I was having
crazy.
an 8-year-old watch the show with me up until episode 5, and I was like, "Oh no, it's episode 5." I was like, "No."
Yeah, when that guy from the kitchen
That
dropped
ended that.
what he's
Yeah.
been doing with Bet's son.
Yeah. Instead of his son in the comic, his son's out selling his ass in Gotham.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pimping him out.
Well, also the comic made the connection with Rose.
Right. Her friend was the one in the diner.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right.
So yeah, again, like I said, when Neil was going, he still connected things really well. But
and again, this is a version of, again, 1989, 1999, 2009, 2019, 33, 34 years later.
Yeah.
Neil's a different writer, and if this is the way he wanted to craft it differently than he originally crafted it. Maybe this is now his new vision for this whole story, and I saw nothing wrong with any of it. It was beautiful. It paid beautiful homage to the original characters. Said everything they had to say in the comic. I mean, there's an image where Dream is in the comic, and I don't know where he's phasing from one place to another. Is exactly like that in the show.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah,
that was freaking dope. Yeah.
Yes, that is a perfect description, Jeremy. I know exactly.
Yeah. Yours is better because you have the light shining on you. It's very much like.
Yeah, it's on and off.
But I will say this though, I understand why it took so long to adapt. Like Neil has been very insistent about protecting it from crappy adaptations for the last, like Rich said, 30 something years, and I honestly, this to me makes a really good appeal that some comic book properties function better as shows than they would as movies. Like I love the Guillermo del Toro Hellboy stuff. Like I think he did a great job with those. I honestly feel Hellboy would be better as a show because I feel you'd be able to do the stories justice.
I think most comics should be done as shows and build up to a encompassing movie. Like it kind of you could do the storyline a lot better. Like, because I love the Marvel shows. Like you get so much more. It's a 10-hour movie each time. Like,
Drew just saw Peacemaker finally, and come on, Drew, HBO Max. I mean, that's like 4 movies.
Yeah,
it was,
and it's so good.
So it was so good.
Looking at Sandman though as a reference, having an episode cover a single issue where you can get that deep into it is
it really proved that you can get all that detail too.
Yeah,
it's true.
But so bullshit on all y'all's.
Yeah. Again, I just think that we need to, and I feel corporations are starting to notice more and more that that's the way to go. I mean, you've seen the success of the Marvel stuff, you've seen the success of the DC animated things, and now Netflix has done pretty well with their adaptations. I mean, the only one I can think of really is like Umbrella Academy, which, considering its source material is pretty well adapted.
I'm really enjoying that show.
Oh, and Lock and Key.
Oh yeah,
Lock and Key's pretty good.
I've been watching that new season. I think they could have ended it with the second. I think they
Leo,
I think they're stretching the material out a little bit.
Oh.
Yeah, Leo, I'm going to respectfully decline on that one because since Lock and Key was rated PG-13, I feel like they couldn't go as hard as the book does. Like the book goes in, like holy shit.
Oh, do we have another TV versus?
My sister loves that writer Joe Hill, and from the show, I'm like,
oh my god, I got to meet
I liked
him.
The first season a lot. The second season was like,
yeah, I got to meet him at C2E2 in 2020, And it was one of the rare moments where I was kind of starstruck because one, I've read at least 2 of his books. I did read Nosferatu, which I loved, and I really enjoyed the first season of the show that they did they did with Zachary Quinto as the vampire.
Yeah, it was very good. I enjoyed
So,
that.
yeah, he was great. But the thing that blew me away is how much he looked like his dad. Oh my God. Like the beard and the glasses. I was like, oh my God, this is like meeting Stephen King, and I would die. I would die. A weird guy, but I would die. But Joe is so nice. And it's so, speaking of Lock and Key, I have one of my friends who lives in North Carolina. She's a big Lock and Key fan. It's like one of the only books she loves. And I told him, as I could get an autograph, he drew her a key on like a back on the back of a board, and he signed it for her. And I sent it to her, and she was like, I was like, you have a key unlike any other. And I made the joke, you have the Joe Hill key. And she's like, I'm getting this framed. And I'm like, good, do it. You know? And I was like, and I got that for free. So best friend ever.
Very cool.
Oh, yeah.
No, but I'm just so thrilled that Sandman is getting the attention it deserves, because it's weird because it's not exactly a cult hit in comics, but it definitely is on a shelf of its own in the comic genre, I feel. And it's really nice that a lot of other writers have been able to contribute to it, because I feel there's been a lot of pushback when other writers would write for it. Like I remember they did a masterpiece theater for Sandman that some people criticized. They're like, oh, this isn't Neil and everything. At some point, and Neil did contribute stories to it, by the way. So he definitely helped with the feel. It's always nice that there's more stories to tell in Sandman. And that's the point of it, is that Neil gave us this huge universe of characters that in writing them, we see ourselves. We are allowed criticism of humanity at its best and as its worst, because like, Death said, they do not serve us. We serve them. We are part of the natural order of the world. Without them, we wouldn't exist. And it's a big concept. And honestly, I think Sandman is the kind of thing that would be make for a fantastic debate. Like if you had like a nerd roundtable, I think some of the themes in Sandman are dying for they're old questions. That's what it is. They're old questions in a new format.
Well, I feel like the Netflix show, I mean, listen, our roundtable here goes from 35 to 30s to 50s. And a lot of younger people aren't familiar with Sandman, and this Netflix series is going to bring that out. So hopefully it'll be a lot more read, and we're going to get more series out of it. And I feel like we cannot end this without talking about Dream versus Lucifer.
Dude, I would have liked to seen Beelzebub, but I understand. Once again, the fantasy might have been too far for the everyday person to see a fly standing there.
Right, because in the comics he was the lieutenant, correct?
Yeah.
It was not Corazon.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and on top of it, it was interesting to imagine that Hell was a triumvirate. 3.
Yes. Yeah. So
this
it's beautiful. Just like even the entrance to Hell, and the guy all of a sudden he's like going, and all of a sudden like one of the things just like out of the wall to like hit the thing.
Yeah.
It's fucking beautiful.
Oh my God.
Oh, the whole walls were the souls of the people, like the bodies. That was like great visual. Oh.
And it's really funny that small things that Neil say that you I feel like some people would look over, but when you think about it, you're like, oh my God, like the comment about the suicide trees. He was like, yeah, when I was last here, they were but a small grove. Now they're a forest. You're like,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was an interesting little like tidbit that they put in there. Right. I like that.
Yeah. And
because the endless have been around for eons.
That And I'm sorry, the way that Sandman got out of hell, it was genius. Like the way that he convinced him, was like, "How are you going to leave?" He said, "You know, what?" He's like, "Dreams have no purpose in hell," and he just drops that nugget of truth, and then you just see the crowds part. And,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that was one thing ripped right from the book as well. You know, him ending it with, you know, what would you do if nobody could dream of heaven?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. And
And
also,
like, for real,
talking more about the epic casting.
Once again, one of those questions.
Jeremy. But Desire. The character, the actor that played Desire, not only looks exactly like the character in the comics, but did a brilliant job.
So
Who is that, by the way?
Well, I will tell you.
Leo, hurry up.
I took notes on all the characters. That is Mason Alexander Park, who played Desire. Best known as I would imagine a voice actor playing Gren in Cowboy Bebop.
Okay.
But
or did they do the live action Cowboy Bebop?
Well, I don't know. I will pull that up. But what was very interesting is they are listed for the new Quantum Leap.
Oh,
cool.
So Scott Bakula's coming back for that, right?
Oh, I hope so.
Oh, please.
Okay, so yeah, Mason Alexander Park is Desire.
They played that.
They played.
Is Mason a transgender actor?
Or are they
or were they only playing a transgender character?
Mason is a non-binary film, TV, and stage actor.
Okay.
So I use they properly. Look at me.
Good for
you. So they're best known for Hedwig on Broadway.
Okay.
Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, and and it was the live action adaptation of Cowboy Bebop.
I know the people who like Cowboy Bebop did not like that, but I actually I've never watched the anime, so I'm sure I'm like, But I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Well, they did a brilliant job. I mean,
well, yeah, on a lot of the actors, like I mentioned, the Corinthian was in Hatfield and McCoy's, but he's also going to be in Indiana Jones 5. David Thewlis was John Dee. We know him from Harry Potter, but he's also in a brand new show called The Landscapers, which looks really good. That's on Amazon Prime. He was also Ares in Zack Snyder's Justice League, and VM Varga in Fargo.
Him as Ares was just, I was like, really, this is the god of war? Like,
Lucifer, we know, is Gwendolyn Christie from Game of Thrones.
Amazing.
Jenna Coleman was Joanna Constantine. She played Victoria in Victoria. She was Connie in Captain America and the First Avenger. And she was Clara in Doctor Who. And let's see. Oh, Fiddler's Green.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait.
So talk about Fiddler's Green.
Okay, so Fiddler's Green does show up because I'm sorry, he was one of my favorites.
Fiddler's Green is so awesome in the show. They adapted him very well. It's almost identical. But his interaction with another character really makes sense on how they changed the other character.
Okay, because I loved his mini meltdown when he was in the same elevator with the Corinthian. But I'm sorry, the coolest thing was when he gave Rose the slip of paper. He was like, if you really need it, say his name. Read this out loud. And he said it, and he showed up to stop Funland from doing what he was going to do. I was like, dude, this is the coolest. and he's just like, yeah, he's like, you had to do it, right? He's like, yeah, we're going to have to deal with this.
Yeah, you'll enjoy it when you get to it, Drew.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But one more question, just in general, because there's one part of Sandman I always enjoyed, and I know he shows up Matthew,
Yep.
voiced by Patton Oswalt, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Correct.
How did that fare? Because
Great.
I would have preferred not Patton because it was very obvious it was Patton. He doesn't really change up his voice, but
I
it was
enjoyed it.
still good.
Yeah, same here.
okay,
I enjoyed
Well,
it.
well, you know, he wouldn't really need to change up his voice though, because I mean, he is.
I'm always a fan of when voice actors are
Modified.
Well,
voice
when
actors.
you can't picture them, yeah.
Yeah, like because as soon as you hear him, I'm like, oh, it's Patton Oswalt.
Yeah.
well, listen, I'm just
Like I didn't
glad.
know Mark Hamill did
Merv.
Merv at first until I looked at the credits. I was like, oh,
I didn't know
son
that
of a
till you
bitch.
guys just said it. Now I'm gonna have to rewatch that part.
I will say this though.
Mind
I'm
you,
just
I normally
glad
do know Mark.
that I got to see a point where Sandman was done and it was done well. Because I know at one point they wanted to do it as like a movie, and I really don't think that would have worked. Because this
It would have had to be
worked
multiple movies. They couldn't have done it in one
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah,
Definitely
but
not to this scope.
yeah,
It would have
no,
been
but
like watching Dark Tower. Like,
Well, apparently there's been several tries to do this as a movie, starting as soon as I believe 91.
Mhm.
yes, it's true. And the most recent one was one where Joseph Gordon-Levitt was
Yep.
supposed to star and direct, but then he left due to creative differences.
I
So
could see
that was
his
the last
dream.
one. But honestly, I'm super thrilled about it. I'm really glad that a new generation of readers can discover Sandman on their own and appreciate it for what it is. And I'm all for people reading good comics. That's just my moral of my story is I love recommending people good stories because then they find new things to connect with, new characters to love and aspire to. You know, that's how nerdery should be. And I think that's what Neil was talking about with the gatekeeping. Like these people like, oh, I was there when Sandman was coming out in the stacks. Like you're, and there are always going to be those people because they love something, so they feel it's their need to protect it.
Well,
But
if and we talked about this earlier, but in doing my research, I stumbled into YouTube, and just the negative videos,
Really?
it was sickening. It was
About Sandman?
about
That's
Sandman.
interesting.
Yeah.
Like as I was saying, through my comic groups and stuff, normally anything changed up in a comic series becomes like fodder for, the people that are just like, oh, they're replacing us, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I didn't hear any of that.
Yeah, the top videos that were coming up was, Sandman is woke, and
Really?
yeah, and Neil Gaiman made Sandman gay. Like, what the hell?
Neil Gaiman can do
Neil
whatever he
Gaiman's
wants with
always been
Sandman.
woke.
Yeah.
Those are people that never read the comics and they're idiots.
Yep,
I always
exactly.
love being called woke.
I mean, listen, the same thing happened when Lucifer left Sandman and started his own series, which I do recommend that we do review at one point because I heard that is also amazing.
My
So-
son loved the TV show.
Well, yeah, and
It's okay.
Leo,
It's a
just
little
let you
formulaic,
know,
but it's okay.
Leo, just let you know, and essentially in Sandman, Lucifer hands over the keys to hell and abdicates his throne. So he goes to LA, opens up a
Yeah.
jazz club, and literally shit happens. And it was a really good series. Mike Carey and Peter Gross did it for like 70 something issues. But again, because it was about the devil, of course, you had Christian conservative groups,
Oh, yeah.
doing their thing like, oh, it's a common back the devil. It's called literature, man.
They must be having a field day right now because I can't remember the name of the publisher just put out this the Bible 2, and like Jesus has freaking M16s.
Oh, jeez.
It's fucking hilarious. Source Point Press.
Right. But my point being is people will always complain and criticize. Personally, it's just like anything. You just filter it out. You just learn, some people, this is who they are. They're going to complain if you serve them something, it's too cold. If then you put it back, then it's too hot. Then it's not warm enough. Some people are just miserable and they just like to spread their misery. So now they have someone to look after for their misery because we have to spare.
Yeah.
That's
and
what I
most
look
of
at
those people will not be watching this show. So well.
Exactly. So in the end, I will recommend to anybody, and I've already did this because I have a friend who's watching the show, and I was like, "Hey, did you actually want to read the comics? I own them. We're not reading them anytime soon." He's like, "Oh yeah, I would totally borrow those." So that, welcome to good conversation. So,
awesome. And like we said earlier, it doesn't matter if you read the comic first or watch the show first.
No, I
yeah.
think I was kind of shocked
I've
how.
shared the internet link a few times with people too. They're like, "Oh, I've been meaning to read this." I'm like, "Boom, here it is. No excuse now."
Oh yeah, freecomics.com. Get them.
Yeah.
So we're
so
running
should we crowbar this?
Well, but
Oh, yeah.
before we do, I just wanted to make sure I went through all my notes. So
Oh, yeah,
talking
sorry,
about
Leo.
the comic, so some of the differences that we mentioned. Hell, the African princess, we talked about that was more fleshed out. The way they handled the sleeping sickness, I think the comic handled it a lot better.
I do too.
Yeah,
I agree. Though they kind of just
glossed over it in
Yeah.
the series.
Well, they glossed over it, but it was more of, people just fell asleep.
Yeah,
You
or
know?
didn't sleep, or
Yeah.
slept walk. Like
Right.
they didn't get into. I think the book definitely was more intricate on that part.
Yeah. And I think how they handled Jed in the show, I preferred that better. Jed and the new character that they created. I think that's about it for my notes. Yeah, go.
I was gonna say, Rich, I don't think we should do crowbars this time. I think we should do
Sandbags
thank you.
Sandbags.
The best, yeah. Sandbags.
or
Yeah,
hourglasses.
Sandbags. I don't know. Is sandbags the right term? I don't know. Some part
Bags
me
of
is like,
sand? Bags of
I don't
mystical
know.
sand?
Poof.
How about bags of
Oh
dreams?
no, I got a good one. Ravens.
Ooh,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
not crows.
All right. So we have we have to do what? The comic and the show.
Yes.
Yes.
So I'll set it off, and I'm gonna say 5 crows for the comic series because I've always loved it, and rereading Neil's interpretation is always amazing. And I'm gonna also say 5 crows for the Netflix series because I loved it. We watched 2-3 episodes a night, and there was no part of it I disliked. A matter of fact, right before we came on the show, we rewatched the Hell episode and the beginning of the Diner episode.
Oh, nice.
So I totally plan on rewatching the series again and comparing some of the comic stuff over the next week or two. So I totally enjoyed it. I highly recommend it to everyone. Read the comic. Jeremy mentioned one. I do readallcomics.com. He does freesomethingcomics.com.
Freecomics.com. I think
there you go. Those ways, if you don't have the money to go buy them or get the hardcovers or the conglomerates, there are ways to do it. So
and
all
it's
the
not
way
stealing. There's all this advertising on them, so they're paid for.
True indeed. So you are not stealing. So 5 ravens all across the board.
Word.
So and if we're going in clockwork rotation, Jeremy, that would be you next.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you, Rich. Much appreciated. Back to
Where are you? Below me.
I'm sorry for my gas.
I'm going 4.9 crows for the book. Although I haven't finished up to where you guys are, I have to say the show is just that much. And amazingly, that it's so confusing to me. I'm always that person. Well, if you like the show so much, you should really read the book because the book was way better. This, I was like, they're pretty on par, but the the show just explained some of the stuff to me a little better. I don't know if it was the visuals of seeing it in movement or whatever, but it was just a little bit better. So 5, 4.9.
All right.
And that's
Over the follow.
I'm reversed.
So for me, I'm gonna go with just like these guys have said, I'm going with a straight up 5 for the book. Honestly, you will not read another comic like Sandman, and I thoroughly recommend anybody, both if you enjoy good stories and good comics, Sandman is right there for you. For this series, I'm going to give it 4.5 simply because I haven't watched the rest. I'm fairly certain if I saw all of it, I would just give it a 5 Ravens all across the board. But honestly, from what I've seen so far, it's doing a great job, great cast, great writing. You know, I'm really excited to see more, and I really hope I don't end up getting killed for it.
Your turn,
Awesome.
Leo.
Yeah, so definitely the show, easy 5. Absolutely friggin' love the show. And Twisted Roots, hey, cheers,
Hell
dorks.
yeah, man.
Sandman rocks. Totally agree. So, as you guys been talking, I've been thinking about it, and like I was starting to lean your way, Jar Jar, going with like a 4.8, 4.9 for the book. But it got me thinking, like I love each in their own way. There are certain things that the show handled a lot better and certain things that the book handled a lot better. And I think they really even themselves out. So I'm going to give 5 for both. I would highly recommend definitely doing both. There's enough difference that you can find enjoyment in both. Yeah, absolutely
Gotta
love
one
it.
up me. Gotta one
And
up
if you
me.
ever get to see Neil speak live, or you have the opportunity, I highly suggest it. As birthday present a few years ago, I got to see him in Hartford, and there were problems with the sound. But again, that guy, he's just reading his stories, but he's such an amazing storyteller. If you ever listen to any of his Audible stuff, it's really incredible. Not only is he a great writer, but he's a great orator.
When I
I-
was working, I walked into a store in upstate New York that he dropped off signed books every now and again to. And for
Oh,
the
wow.
time that I was working up there, I friggin' was like every day, like, is Neil Gaiman coming in? Is Neil? Never saw him.
I had an opportunity to see. Well, no, I learned that he was having an event at the New York Public Library, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like in. And by the time I realized it, the tickets were already sold out. I was like, "God damn!" But
That hurts.
I knew someone who got to meet him, and they said like he is the nicest, quietest introvert you could ever imagine. But I think the only time I remember hearing him speak, because I've been meaning to listen to some of his audiobooks, is that he narrated an episode of Lucifer when the show originally got canceled. They had this one where they imagined it was like Lucifer in a different reality, like if the story had been a little different. And he narrated, and he did the voice of God. And hearing him talk, it was just one of those where I was like, I would love to hear him talk about Sandman, making it, reading from it. Like, can you just imagine how cool that must sound?
Yeah. Just FYI, Harley has a hall pass for Neil Gaiman.
Please.
Nice.
Absolutely. Like 100%. Come on. Like, that doesn't probably good for you. Like, you have good taste.
I'm sure Niels can be very happy to find this out.
She crossed paths with him back in the day. But Amanda Palmer was not a fan of hers, so that didn't wasn't going on. Yeah.
Oh wow!
I'll tell you the story one time later on.
Yeah, fair enough. I would love to hear that story. But no, like again, guys, this was such a great read. I'm all for. I don't want to say reading higher caliber comics, but definitely, stuff like this. Absolutely. Let's review, let's read, let's enjoy. So.
I just wanted to end on one thing that actually I was going to say this in my review. One of the reasons why I gave it a 5. Sam Keith. Back in the
Yeah.
90s, I did not like his art. It was like when he was doing that Wolverine run, I was like, I didn't. I'm sorry, Jar Jar. I'm sorry, but I did not.
Man,
I did not.
great.
It's opinions. Everything's subjective.
Yeah,
But I absolutely loved
we
his
all have
art
them.
in Sandman.
Mhm.
You know what, Jeremy? We should torture him by reviewing the Max and
Oh,
comparing it to
that's
the.
where I was
No.
like, we got to watch that the cartoon, do a TV versus book again.
Oh, it's the Helm, Roots. I believe it's the Helm.
You think
hell?
so? I would have to say
They
it was
didn't
the
show
Gem
as much of its
because
they didn't show as much of its power in these 16, but I think
Oh,
more in the further into the series it does.
ooh.
the gem was the
Yeah.
only.
Ooh, was that
No,
a
no,
gag?
no, no. I was just
No,
thinking.
no, the will. There's more. I'm reading the actual comments as they come up. I'm not waiting for Leo.
Or is it a
It
Well,
could be
not.
his damn stubbornness.
Well, I was just gonna say, but he didn't absorb all of them, did he?
No, he only absorbed the gem,
only
right?
the
Yeah,
gem?
No, he didn't
Yeah.
enjoy the gem. The gem had the most power. He
Supposedly, yeah.
gained a little bit from the sand, then a little bit from the helm because they're his own
Yeah.
his old tools, his own energy. But he said that he didn't realize how much of the power he had put in the ruby. So when it was
right.
destroyed,
Interesting.
he absorbed it.
Says he's felt more powerful than ever before.
Did I have it eons?
he forgot how powerful he was.
You know, I also
That's
want to say
all
that
right. Now the series ends with a little cutscene.
Yes, which was not in the comics at all.
Okay,
I
I
was
wanted to
promotion
know
for
about that.
season 2. That's what I felt it was.
Okay. I was wondering if that was in the comics. And
also, just hope you guys know that Neil did a series with J.H. Williams that is actually a prelude to the events that happened in the first book.
Oh,
okay.
So if you know,
that would be good to know, like what those people are actually up to. I know they were trying to capture death, but like,
yeah, well, it's not. I'm talking to them like what Dream was up to.
Oh, okay.
And a bunch of other people and whatnot. Like you definitely see him trying to catch the Corinthian. In the artwork is gorgeous. I mean, it was delayed for a bit, but J.H. Williams did such a great job with the ethereal club. It's again, Neil picked some great collaborators back in the day. I mean, I own all of it. He also again, we could just talk about how great of a writer Neil Gaiman is. I mean, come on, Coraline, Neil Gaiman.
I'm actually renting that from the library to listen on CD.
Yeah, all of his mythology stuff is epic. All his Thor and Loki stories are amazing.
You know, and also what I would love is maybe we could have one where we read some of Neil's short stories. Like he did a 2-parter called Whatever Happened to the Cape Crusader, which is similar to Alan Moore's Whatever Happened to Man of Tomorrow, which was supposed to be like, quote unquote, the end of Batman. It was around the time Batman died, I think, in Final Crisis.
It was all a lot more versed on Neil's books. So, Drew, I would definitely reach out to you for some more, because I know Gaiman's done quite a bit of comics.
He has, and it's always interesting to see when he just does, sporadic things. Like, for instance, I know one time in one story that wasn't involved with Neil, Lex Luthor met death, and it was Neil's death.
Wow!
So that
cool.
was, yeah, it was in an issue of Action Comics like ages ago.
Do they in the comics? This is another thing that I've been something that was really intriguing to me when death was taking each person. Do they go more into that, like what happens to these? I mean, I know it's the afterlife, but do they go into like, is it their own personal afterlives? Is it because in my belief is that it's their own personal afterlives, because especially when the Jewish man was dying and he said that that prayer so that he could get into heaven and stuff. I was just like,
No, they don't really go into that too much, but like I said, there are 2 death specific miniseries that Neil wrote
mm,
that definitely tie into that. But I realize we're almost at the 2-hour mark. We
oh
said we're
yeah,
going to work on not doing those. So why don't we, Leo? Let's do the
keeping it
credits.
tight.
We'll get there. One week we'll get there.
We'll
I
get there.
want to
Yeah.
thank everybody for watching this fine evening, and hopefully before I'm done with my spiel, Velvet Joker will be back. Otherwise, it's going to be an awkward third seat. But yeah, for me, just Google Leo Pond. You'll find a bunch of stuff. Could be true, could be not. I'm not going to say which is which, but I run the Dorkening Podcast Network. We got a ton of shows on the network. There's a lot of awesome people doing a lot of awesome stuff. For Splash Pages, definitely check out. We started a YouTube. We started a TikTok. Got some awesome stuff up there. And without further ado, Jar Jar.
All right, let's see. You can find me over at Comic Book Lovers Buy, Sell, Trade, and Auction on Facebook. What am I on Instagram? Something on Instagram, and I actually started a TikTok this week because
Woohoo.
Leo started a TikTok for the whole Splash Pages, which you guys should all go check out. And yeah, I have a TikTok. I think it's Jar Jar Jeremy 420, but I'm not positive on that one.
Well, your Instagram I have listed as Jar Jar Jeremy as well.
Oh, well, there we go. Look
You're
at that.
actually Jar Jar Jeremy 808 on
Oh,
the TikTok.
808. 808. I wonder why it's 808.
I think you can change that though.
Can I?
Yes, you can.
Give it a try. Velvet.
Hey, what's up, guys? Velvet Joker here. You can catch me every Tuesday here on the Splash Pages, award-winning. Boom, boom, how we do. And yeah, it is exciting that we're since this con, we've really been kind of assembling and doing more of an arrow type thing, and we're trying to get all our media stuff proper. And
Quack, quack.
you can still see right now all of our videos on the Dorkening YouTube channel, but we have 4 or 5 new ones on the Splash Pages YouTube channel, which I guess eventually they'll all be migrating to our channel. As well, I also started a TikTok, which is Velvet Joker 1 at TikTok, and put a few out there. And we're going to see what's going to happen. We're exploring different options to promote the show. And we hope you guys enjoy the content. And we're going to keep trying to get more people involved and interact. And please join us on Facebook at the Splash Pages, a comic book club. And we put tons of stuff and articles out there. And we'd love for you guys to chat with us. Let us know what you want to hear, what you want to see. And we're going to keep doing fun stuff. Right.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That we'll catch you guys later.
Peace out.